welcome to Old School Cafe. My name is Vivi and I'm an alumni. We're going to take a little walk down memory lane, and to your left and your right is pretty much the timeline of when Old School started to where we are now. And in 2008, I actually was expelled from school for fighting and truancy, and I was given the option to either join a dropout prevention program or my parents were going to land in jail for a few days. So I opted for the program, and shortly after joining, Teresa came to recruit for Old School Cafe, and I figured this would be a great opportunity to get my first job ever. We quickly realized that Old School is more than just a job. It became kind of like my second family. I spent all my holidays and made like really great memories with Old School. We did gardening and a lot of community work, but my favorite memory would have to be the holidays. Every year we would do fine dining for the homeless community, or we would create gift baskets for homicide victims, families, and it really gives you a really like empathetic outlook on life, and I kind of carry that. And another thing I'm so thankful for Old School for is they supported my creative drive, and I didn't know that at the moment, but Teresa would pretty much buy me a bunch of art supplies and do art with me. And now I graduated from school as a graphic and web designer, and my first client was Teresa. And I'm back at Old School now as a graphic and web designer. Thank you for coming. Just follow your tour guide through these curtains and enjoy the rest of your tour.
Welcome to Old School Cafe.
Welcome to Old School Cafe. My name is Ryan. I'm the Executive General Manager here. We're going to talk to Ashley as well as Keem, and we're going to go through the front of house positions.
Hello, as Ryan said, my name is Keem. 18, birthday was last month, for those who ever know. Thank you. I've been at Old School for about a year, 4 months, give or take. And I'm one serving the food, bringing it out. The bussers also help with that. And then once it's all said and done and they're all ready to head out, I'm also handling their check, meaning that I'm going to be one of the last people they see before they exit the building. And with that, making sure that that interaction is a good one, and making sure that they could come back and enjoy some more Old School. That is the point of serving. And thank you. I'm going to be passing it off to Ashley now, and she's going to be talking about busing and hosting.
Hi, hello, my name is Ashley. I'm 17 years old and I've been working at Old School for about 4 months now. I learned about Old School through my probation officer and my case manager, and this place has provided a stable and legal income for me. Here at Old School, we serve comfort food from around the world, so some of the dishes you'll be eating tonight are some youth-brought family recipes. At Old School, everybody's trained in all positions, including serving, dishwashing, busing, hosting, and there are even some youth cooking in the back for you tonight. My job is the host, so I normally am the first person that you see when you come in through the door. I have a tablet full of seating arrangements that I need to move around to make the restaurant move smoothly. Here at Old School, they're helping me achieve my dream of owning a business, because what better way to learn how business works than by working in one, right?
Thank you so much. All right, we're going into the kitchen now.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Chef Eddie Blyden, Director of Culinary Education here at Old School Cafe. I'm here with two of our student apprentices, Wilson and Royale, and today they're going to give you an overview and some perspective on what happens in the back of the house. Carry on, Wilson.
I'm Wilson, I'm 18. I've been at Old School for 2 years, and I heard about Old School through friends. And one thing I learned about Old School in the kitchen is front and back of the prep, pantry, and desserts. And I'm gonna show y'all the importance of dishwashing. Here we got 3 sink compartments, and this is soap, rinse, and sanitize. And this is the dishwasher. And I'm gonna pass it to Leah.
Hi, my name is Royale. I'm 18 years old, and I've also been here at Old School for 2 years. I was brought here by a fellow classmate, and one of my dreams are to own an international soul food restaurant one day. In here, we will be showing you one of our signature international soul food dishes off our menu, which is the ota. The ota contains fish and is a little like a ceviche, kind of the same concept, but except we have a creamy Tongan base. So here is how we make our ota. So first we start with a beautiful margarita glass with a bed of arugula, and then we top it off with our ota. So it would look a little something like this here. See that? Beautiful. We top it with edible flowers, and the ota contains diced cucumbers, diced radishes, jalapenos, tomatoes, red onions, cilantro, and with our mayonnaise and cream base. I hope everyone enjoyed, and thank you for coming to our kitchen.
Hello everyone, my name is Byro and I'm 17 years old. I've been working for Old School Cafe for a year and 4 months now. And I first learned about Old School Cafe through two of my great friends that used to work here. What Old School is to me is an opportunity for a better life. In addition to work experience, Old School also offers a life skill training, one-to-one coaching, and internships. During one of my one-to-one coaching sessions, I was able to learn how to write my own resume, so I may use that for future employment. And for internships, I didn't get a chance to internship yet, but I was given the chance to stage at Ornos Michael Mina. Now stage is a shorter time span than an internship. For my future, I would like to be a 3D designer. And now I'm gonna pass it on to my lovely coworker.
Hi, my name is Classy. I'm 16 and I've been working here at Old School for about 5 months now, and I'm a server. I learned about Old School through my older brother because he had anger issues, and once I started working here, I seen a good change in his attitude, so I wanted to do that too. What Old School is to me is a place where at-risk youth can come and get back on track and make money while doing it. My time at Old School, they taught me anger management, the importance of voting, and also budgeting. And I use two of those strategies in my everyday life. The two that I use mostly are anger management and budgeting. I use anger management by finding other ways I can conceal my anger, and budgeting for saving up for college so I can pursue my dream of being a midwife.
Wow.
OMG, Greg. Can we give another round of applause to Greg? Oh my God, I have chills. All right, let me not fall up the stairs. Welcome everyone to the Old School Cafe Fundraising Gala. Oh my God, I am so happy to be here. I am so happy to be here. They're telling me to hold the mic up. Okay, cool. Am I good? I'm good? Okay. I am Tiffany. I am a alumni and a youth founder of, I'm getting fumbled. Let's do this again. First of all, Greg, a round of applause. Okay, cool. Step one. Step two. Welcome everyone to the Old School Cafe Fundraising Gala. My name is Tiffany Fuller, and I am one of the youth founders and alumni of Old School Cafe, and I will be your MC, co-MC for the night. So before I get started, I just want to remind you guys to eat your food because they're going to be serving it throughout the night. So don't be cute, eat your food. We want to eat it while it is hot, unless you're eating the black-eyed pea salad, because you don't want that to get warm. That's kind of gross. So please enjoy. We want to look out and see you enjoying yourselves, so don't get weird. Eat your food. Agree? Yes? Okay. So for those of you who are learning about Old School for the first time tonight, Old School Cafe is a... Can you guys hear me? Okay. Because this is important. I'm just kidding. Thank you. I bought it myself. All right, so Old School Cafe, it's a faith-based violence prevention program that provides job training and employment and a second chance by way of a 1920s speakeasy jazz restaurant run by at-risk, formerly incarcerated, and foster youth ages 16 to 22. If you are 16 to 22, make some noise. Can I make some noise too? Okay, cool. I am actually one of the first youth of the program. I have been a part of Old School since I was about 16 years old, from the very first workshop in Teresa's apartment in Dogpatch. If you've been around since then, make some noise. Okay. You know, back then, it was not a restaurant. It was literally just a mentoring program for me. And, you know, that is what I needed at that time. It offered a place of peace and comfort. To this day, that is what Old School is. So I was born and raised in Bayview. Down the street, really. Anybody from Bayview? All right. I grew up in foster care. I was raised by my aunt with my sister because my biological mother was a drug addict, and I didn't know my dad at that time. And so for Old School, it offered me a home. I'm having some trouble with my paper. All right, I should be really serious. Sorry, T. Okay, so I was raised by my aunt, and that sounds like a really good, like a good thing, right? But, you know, there's trouble. Sometimes there's resentment and pain. So even when it's family, it's not always the best situation. And at that time, I was so lost. I was depressed. I had suicidal ideations, and I just needed love. And one of the first things that Old School offers is just that. It's love. Love without stipulations and debt. This is the first thing that it provided me, support. In some kind of way, that love and support made me the first youth of the program to go to college and get a master's degree from USC. The best film school in the world. Shout out to NYU. I spent a lot of my life depressed because I didn't have traditional parents. But I am a living example of what it looks like to be raised by a village. I am proud to be an alumni of Old School, to be a leader, an example to kids with similar stories, similar backgrounds, similar hurt, similar neighborhoods. We all have our own stories, but I can say that I have made something of myself despite all the things that could have held me back, but also because of them. So some of you may know, I have this tiny dream of being the first Black woman to win the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Just a small dream, small. But ultimately, I just want to be a professional filmmaker. Like, can I just make a movie? And that is what I am doing. So I'm actually working on a short documentary with the support of Citizen Film and the Dreamkeepers Initiative. In just a moment, I'm actually going to perform a poem about my story, and it's going to be a snippet of what could be in that film. Is that okay with you guys? Okay. I'm going to just take a second to kind of reset, if that's cool. Yes? Okay. All right. Give me a second. Do, 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 do. Okay. So, my mother wasn't around and my father wasn't around. And the one left didn't quite care to be around. I spent my life on the ground praying to a God whose people left me broken. Voice shattered, no word spoken. My worth a bus token. But you know what? Walking ain't crowded and the world belongs to me. Never mind the pools of blood stained in my memory, memorial service to the girl I used to be. Crying and crying, woe is me, my woe is me, the girl and friend I've been longing after. I am the mother I wish I had, taking care of my inner child. And the swag dad who has all the right words. Forget about what you heard. I am not dying. Correction, dying to live. Trying to give myself permission to heal from the inside and the out. The tunnel is dark, but this is the escape route. It is because I say it is. I choose to forgive or else I can't breathe, and we all know what that means. Therefore, my peace must come from within me. So, to the lady who disappeared, and her sister with closed ears, and the man with the diamonds weighing down his hands, I love you. For all the pain and strain, blame and internal rain, you are my inspiration, you are my gain. I am powerful, and you are my witness. I am powerful, and this is my prayer. I am powerful. I am power. I am. I am. Thank you. I am also happy to introduce my co-MC for the evening, the amazing member of the Basketball Hall of Fame, former president of the Golden State Warriors, Rick Welts. Hey, Rick.
Oh my.
How you doing?
You know, to even share the stage with you, can we hear it one more time for Tiffany? Oh my God.
Thank you. So,
Woo!
Rick,
I'm still recovering.
tell us a little bit about how you got started with Old School.
I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago. We have this little project. We're trying to build a little arena down the way.
Never
I
heard
don't know
of it.
if you remember.
Never heard of it.
And one of the people that was helping me on that from a great company called Strata was a gentleman by the name of Michael Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
And one of these days, we're having a meeting, and Michael said, I got a place you have to see. And he, kind of described it. Sounded a little odd to me. But I came down and had my first experience at Old School Cafe. And I hope those of you who are here for the first time today, I'm almost sure you had the same experience I had. Remarkable. I really couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I couldn't believe how important this organization is. So from that day forward, that really, was my connection. Anything Teresa asks me to do, I will do.
Same.
Just like the rest of us, right?
Same.
Anything, absolutely. I learned, Old School, the first ever youth-run supper club with entertainment, all by youth. Right? And entertainment, I mentioned entertainment because here's another thing that you may not know about Old School. Part of Teresa's vision was, in addition to giving the skills, learning how to run a business, learning how to operate a restaurant, she also wanted to give a platform for young talent to be on display. There's another way you can help. I know myself because I've been able to hire some of a couple of great piano players and a singer to come to events at my house or for the Warriors. And just remember that. That's one other thing that you can do when you're here. Speaking of, didn't you enjoy the music we had in the cocktail hour before, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I want to recognize, and let's hear it for the two groups that entertained us before, Benjamin and Nathan's Fearless Five. There they are. Come on, guys. Thank you. It's awesome. And you all look like you're 12 years old. Okay. It's really depressing.
13.
13. So this is the part of the program where we're going to recognize the sponsors that made tonight possible. And it's a little different at this event than it is at a lot of events. And let me tell you why. Because the sponsors we're going to run through right now have covered, listen to me, 100% of the costs of staging tonight. So what does that mean? That means that every dollar raised tonight will go directly to programming at Old School Cafe. Thank you to all the sponsors. So all of us give a sincere thanks to Legacy Partners, the wonderful Bon Appetit, the Golden State Warriors come on. Woo!
Who?
Okay.
Never heard of him.
San Francisco Foundation, NorCal Carpenters Union, First Republic Bank, Dodge and Cox, Rainmaker, Kaiser Permanente, California Healthcare Foundation, Amy Hayes and Gary Levine, woohoo! Allison McGee, Ben and Stephanie Patterson, Emily Cohen, and Priya and Alex Clemens. Thanks to all of you for really what you're doing tonight, and your contributions mean that, again, every single dollar we raise tonight is going to go directly to programming at Old School. And we should raise a glass to toast.
Can
right?
I get a refill? Mine's is empty.
Our wine, our wine and beer sponsors. All right, 21st Amendment Brewery.
Woo!
And Ingene Cellars. I hope I got that right. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers. Cheers. All right. You take your toast seriously. That's good. I'm in that camp. All right. So the best thing I get to do today is stand on the stage with Tiffany, because I'm going to get her autograph before this is over. So
I paid him to say that.
When she wins that Academy Award,
Imagine.
I can say. But the next best thing I get to do is introduce the person who's going to come up here next. During that very first tour that I got of Old School, I met Teresa. And I'd heard about her, and somehow I thought it was a sight gag when I met her, right? This was a corrections officer, and we're trying to deter people from going to prison? I'm not quite sure how that works. Okay. But anyone who's been around Teresa is immediately captivated by her energy, her vision, the optimism she exudes at every corner. And the more you're around her and the more you see the people that she's touched, she's an angel. You know, the business that I'm in, you get to meet a lot of famous people. Not in awe of very many people, but I'm in awe of the next person that I want to bring to the stage. Teresa Goins. Teresa?
Can we just give another round of applause for our amazing MCs? It's true. We do this every year, and she says, "Oh no," and then she shines. Thank you both so much. It is such an honor. I mean, this, for those of you who know, we are in the middle of Mendel Plaza with a very special, elegant event. Thank you for making this possible tonight. People used to tell me I could not do a gala fundraiser here, that nobody would come, that we needed to do it in the middle of downtown, that this would not work. So thank you for proving all of them wrong. For me, it's very important that we are here. I want people to come into our space, meet our youth, see what's possible, and that our youth are the ones that are, they're the ones paving the way. You're seeing the ones that were here years ago, the ones that are currently here, and they're the leaders in their community. They're the ones showing what's possible if we just give young people an opportunity and believe in them. So we're gonna start with a video. So what's kind of fun about this one is this was actually filmed 10 years ago, the very week we were opening here. It was 8 years in my house, and then we finally got this building and renovated. So total, we've been doing this 18 years. But we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary of being open as a full youth-run jazz club here on Mendel. And so I thought, what a better way than to show this video that was filmed the week that we were opening.
Because I never cared about nobody. I didn't love nobody. I hated everybody that was in my path.
I used to be in a gang. I sold lots of different drugs. I've done drugs. I used to rob people and just do all around bad things.
Like when you grow up in a war zone, like people think, I mean, just watching on TV, it's way different than you be living in it. And seeing guns, seeing people get chopped off, like just a slice of meat.
When I would watch my mom and dad fight, and it just gets so crazy where, you know, they're throwing dishes, he's taking out knives and stuff. I mean, I know I cried because when you get scared as a child, you cry. But at the same time, I was just like, oh, this is how life is.
He said he started drug dealing when he was 3. And I was like, how do you start drug dealing at 3? He says, well, my dad was the big drug dealer in the town, and he would give me this bag of something and say, take it down to the neighbor's house. So if your earliest memories are your dad teaching you to be a good soldier, I don't know if I have the words, but it's like instead of like a dad that's a carpenter giving tools and teaching him how to do it, they've not only not given tools, but they've, by the abuse and by the neglect, they've also stripped them, and they have holes. You're constantly grabbing for anything to fill those holes of pain.
Never been happy in my whole life, never. I've been a man my whole life, never been happy, not one time. That's why I always drink and always smoke to take away the pain, but it always come back, so I just get another bottle and drink some more.
I feel like the heart of it started when I was a correction officer working with boys that were in gangs. You know, we watched the revolving door, they get out, they come back, and I just thought, you know, there's gotta be, this is horrible. So I would be looking really tough, right, in my combat fatigues and combat boots during the day, and military commands, gentlemen, you know, attention. And then I would cry on the way home. In the middle of the night, I would literally wake up and I would just see it, and it would be, okay, so the kids are running it. So there'd be the business aspect if they wanted to learn that, or cooking, or serving, or hosting, or performing. Here's 10 different things that you can find what your niche is, and will mentor you as an apprentice, and you can just fly.
I'm glad I met Teresa. Like, she changed my whole life. She taught me how to be a better man and how to be a better person.
First of all, that's my mother.
You know, without old school, it would be a hard time right now, trust me. To be honest with you, half of us probably would be in jail right now. So that's why I like coming here. It just makes me feel better about my life. It gives me hope. Because if I wasn't here, I'd have no hope.
All the stuff I did in my past, I can't change it, but I can fix it. I can change for the better.
We don't want to be labeled with our mistakes for the rest of our life. That's not who we are. Old School providing a place that like pulls all that down and pulls back all those labels. and says, you're safe here. We see the gold in you, and we want other people to see the gold in you, because that's who you really are.
I enjoy being in the kitchen, because I love being with the family in the kitchen.
I made my own world. I can control everything.
Just giving me the opportunity to feel useful, like there's somewhere I can help or somewhere I can grow and be a better person, whether it's me doing poetry, singing, or even just being a manager. I get to find myself, like find out who I really want to be.
So she's been washing and she's been scrubbing since daylight, but even after that, still she don't feel right. Been skipping meals, she was too disgusted to work up an appetite, and half the night she's spent dreading the sound of her name being called. Answer when he calls your name. Her mother would always say, home should have been her base. Home should have been where she felt most safe, but instead, every minute now he'll be coming, and I look at her and I'll tell her, run. Run, and don't you look back, you just keep on running. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left. Exhausted as she takes every step. Do not fall back, soldier. But he calls for her name. Sir. Yes, sir.
Whew. It's just really humbling, I think, to get a chance to be a small part of believing in some of these young people and giving them a chance at life. But I so feel like it's them, you know, like I'm just so like my heart feels like it wants to explode when I see them really push past to get to have old school, to get to have a real place. So when I see somebody's really desperate, I can say, come on over. You know, we have a job for you. But it's real life-changing opportunities to be able to offer that and to not feel helpless when tragic things are happening. That is like,
We are old school. Come on, people, come visit. We're looking for you guys.
And when I talk about the importance of the location, so you saw Kendrick came up and just hugged me. So because he's in the neighborhood, but he just had a lunch break. He couldn't stay tonight. He's one of our alumni, but wanted to pop in. And that's the important part of being able to be right here, because this is family. This is a home base. So we don't have very many, like I mentioned, a lot of alumni weren't able to get childcare or get off work tonight, but we do have very one special that was in that shot. Sergio, do you mind standing so everybody knows? Make sure to come say hello. This is Sergio. And he has two little ones, but thankfully he got a babysitter. His family's helping out. But Sergio was actually in my gang prevention program when he was 12, before I started Old School. And so there's just a lot of love and a lot of history in this room. And so I really encourage you to talk with them and the youth if you got a chance tonight. So we're going to just jump right in. We know the food has been blessed, but we're going to have Eric McDonald come up and say grace for us. Eric and Hydra have been dear friends and supporters for many, many years. I usually make him sing whenever I get on stage. He sings my favorite, His Eyes on the Sparrow. I won't make you do it this time, but for my birthday. But him and Hydra just live a few blocks away, so he agreed to say the prayer for us tonight. Thank you, Eric.
So good to see you all this evening. Better yet to see you all this evening. At the heart of Old School is the message that we see you, we appreciate you, and we want the best for you. So let's bow your heads just for a moment, please, if you would all join me. Father, we're grateful for the love that is spread in this room. Grateful for the vision that Teresa Goings had and continues to hold. Grateful for the opportunities for life transformation that are created every single day, one young person at a time. And so we thank you for the continued vision, the continued work. Thank you for this time together, both to celebrate and to find our place of commitment to this work, to support it, to enable it, and to ensure that more and more young people have this opportunity of the Old School experience. And so thank you for this food. Blessed to our youth, us to your service. In Jesus' name, amen.
So I know I went out of order. I'll go ahead and, if you guys don't mind, putting up the slide of sort of the vision that inspired me to start this. You all, I feel like, heard mostly. Tiffany did a great job explaining in the hallway for those of you who did the tour. So I was a correction officer right out of college, and that is what inspired me to start this. When I heard sort of just all the stories and how many youth didn't feel like there was an opportunity after they got out of incarceration, and we am very passionate about breaking that cycle. And the youth are doing that, and you're seeing generations of youth who have paved the way. So as Tiffany mentioned, she's one of the youth founders. Sergio is one of the youth founders. Kendrick, who is here, is one of the youth founders. These are the young people that believed in my vision when it was in my house for 8 years. Someday we'll have our own restaurant. Someday we'll have a place and people will come and see what is possible if we stop building prisons for our kids and actually believe we build places that invest in their economic freedom, in their futures and their dreams. So we are so honored to be in this space. I always tell them, don't you feel so proud when you see the youth that are working here today that come to them and they say, ma'am, sir, is this your first time at Old School? And many of them are the ones that helped build it physically, even, constructing the building. And so I'm like, you paved the way for them to be here. That's powerful. Powerful as a young person to believe in some crazy lady's dream when you're 16 and we're just, I have no furniture, and I'm saying someday we're going to have our own youth-run restaurant in San Francisco. Even though I had no money, I had no restaurant experience, no business experience, no celebrity chef, no backers. Yeah, 9 out of 10 restaurants fail. One of the hardest businesses to run. And they're like, you want to do that with young people who've never worked before? I'm like, yes. So 10 years later in San Francisco, we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So thank you all. So we want to give you a few minutes to talk at your table, enjoy your meal. Just a few minutes. So we would like to bring back up Greg Sparrow. And as he's coming to the stage, I just want to brag on him a little bit. So Greg has come to Old School a few times, and he's so gracious to sit in and do a jam session with our youth. So he's coming as a guest, and he's like, I'll get up and play. And so he's done that several times and just been such a blessing to us and met and inspired the youth musicians. So he was coming as a guest up from LA today, and he's like, if you want me to play, I'll play. And so I'm like, I will move the program around to find a couple windows for you to play. Thank you, Greg. So if you don't know him, he's very humble and kind of a big deal. So please look him up. Greg Sparrow, a phenomenal producer, musician, writer. As you've seen, he's already inspired us. So thank you, Greg.
One of the blessings of Old School and why it's so successful is the support of really every city official in the city. At the last event I was with at Teresa's house, Mayor Breed was there, and she may be the biggest Teresa fan. Well, not. I am the biggest Teresa fan. But I do want to acknowledge a few of the public officials that we have here. Right in front of me on the stage here, San Francisco Chief of Police, Bill Scott. Yeah. I saw, yeah, stand up and get some applause. Chief Scott. And I saw the sheriff earlier, so I know you're here. Sheriff Paul Miyamoto. There's the sheriff back there. Thank you. And I know our Bayview captain was planning to be here. I haven't seen, oh, you are here. Okay, David Marone. Yeah. Okay, take it away, Teresa.
Thank you. Let me make sure mine is working. Yes, okay. So very excited about our next speaker, and we want to make sure all our youth are here. So hopefully everybody is coming out so you get a chance to hear. So I got to meet Shaka several years ago. Someone had invited me. He was speaking at an event, and so I brought my youth to hear him, and then just kind of stayed in touch and said I'd love for you to come and speak with my youth someday and meet them and them to hear your story. And then he reached out. I think we had an article that came out, and he messaged me, and here we are. So he was very gracious to offer to come and be our keynote speaker. So let's give a round of applause for Shaka Senghor.
June in 2015, I found myself faced with a decision that almost felt impossible. And when I tell you about this decision, it's going to seem pretty simple. And here was the decision. The decision was to eat the breakfast before me or actually cook breakfast. Simple enough, right? Here was the dilemma. I was in Oprah Winfrey's kitchen, and I was getting prepared to be interviewed by one of the most incredible interviewers of all time. And when I walked into her home, they presented me with this breakfast, and it consisted of bagels, parsnips, some type of cream cheese. And I said to myself, I don't eat that. And I think it was apparent to the producer, and she said, Shaka, if you would like, you can cook breakfast. I was like, oh.
I'm about to cook breakfast in Oprah House. Now, I'm from Detroit, so I already got it in my mind that I'm about to whip up this bacon, these grits with the cheese in it, little eggs on the side. But then I thought about it. I was like, man, I'm about to be interviewed. And I had this really dope sweater on. And I'm like, man, what if some bacon popped on the sweater? So I opted not to make the breakfast. But here's why that particular experience was really important. Because for me as a writer, being interviewed by one of the most incredible readers of all time was something that dreams are made of. But my dream didn't originate like most writers who may find themselves writing on a train, writing on a plane, writing in the dark room somewhere in the mountains. My dream as a writer started while I was in solitary confinement. And it was in solitary confinement where I wrote my first book. And I remember asking the men on the tier, hey, anybody interested in reading my book? And I remember a guy saying, man, this ain't Oprah's book club. Now, the old me would have had some type of snarky, retaliatory comment. But the me that was developing at that time recognized an opportunity. And it was an opportunity to set my intentions. And so I wrote it down, what I wanted to happen in my career as a writer. And one of the first goals I wrote is that one day, I want Oprah Winfrey to read one of my books. Now, I wasn't a well-known writer at the time. I wasn't even known at the time. But when I walked out of prison, I walked out with the intention of becoming successful as a writer. And what a lot of people don't know about my story is how Oprah actually got my book. I got out of prison and I hustled books out of the trunk of my car. And everywhere I went to speak, I ensured that I had books available. And one time I happened to be in a room of pretty important people, a room somewhat like this. And I spoke and I told my story. And a woman heard me. And she read my book. And she gave it to Oprah. And Oprah got that book and asked herself a question. Why would I read this book? Here's a man that served 19 years in prison for second-degree murder. Here's a man that was in solitary confinement for 7 of those years. And she put that book down on a table in her home. And then she moved that book from one room to another. Because Oprah told me that she doesn't throw books away. And one day, she decided to take that book on a trip with her. And she got 50 pages in. She was like, I want to interview this guy. That's the power of intentions. So when I got to Oprah's home and we were scheduled to speak for 45 minutes, we ended up speaking for about 3.5 hours. And Oprah went on to write that not only was it one of the best interviews in her career, it was one of the best conversations in her life. Yeah, y'all can clap for that. And then Oprah texted me, because you know, Oprah be texting me out in these streets. And Oprah said that my conversation was in her top 5. And we've since become friends. And I promise you, Oprah is not sitting on my lap. It just looks like that. But the reason I share that story is because as we think about the people who are in this room, I came here with intentions. And my intention is to ensure that everybody who is here, who is present today, leaves here inspired, leaves here encouraged, and leaves here with this great feeling that you've donated all that you're capable of giving for this incredible program. Now, what I know about intentions is that intentions are nothing without inspiration. In 2008, I went up for parole. I was 12 hours away from my hometown, Detroit, and my dad, my stepmom, and my son, they came up. I remember us sitting in the visitor room the night before and talking about the potential of me getting out of prison. And I remember my dad and I going into the parole board interview, which lasted all of about 60 seconds. And I knew in that moment that I wasn't getting out of prison. It was heartbreaking to watch my family get their hopes up so high only to be dashed. And it was also disheartening for me because I was doing all the things that I felt prepared me for life after prison. And then I saw this interview of this man, I think he was a senator at the time in Chicago, and he was running for president. Now, me personally, I'm not much into politics. I think it's important for y'all to go out and vote. But to me, this is the work. This is the important work. But that being said, when I was a kid growing up, my dad always told me you can be anything in the world, even a president. But I never believed him. Because why would I when I've never seen a president that remotely looked anything like me? And then I saw President Obama. And I found myself being inspired and encouraged to keep going. And I remember saying to myself, one day, I'm going to meet President Obama. And I remember getting invited to the White House. We were doing some work around criminal justice work. And it was President Obama in the White House, and Angie Martinez was hosting this incredible event. And when I got to the White House after a crazy trip from New York, flying into DC, we jumped into a friend of mine's limo driver car, and we whisked off to the train station and got to DC and rushed to the White House. And I happened to be wearing a suit, much like I am today. And just to give some context, I never really wear suits, but I think y'all are special, so I thought I'd put one on tonight. Thank you. And then I got to the White House, and they told me that because of my past, I couldn't get in. And again, it was a reflection of where we're at in the country, where we hold people hostage for their past. But eventually they got me in the White House, and I remember standing in this line, and I was second in line to meet President Obama. And right as it got my turn, he got called away to come up and speak. I was like, man, I got close. Fast forward some years later, I'm doing a book tour. I'm out here in San Fran. I'm in a car with a friend of mine, and I invite him to a party to release the book. And he says, I can't go to the party because I'm scheduled to have dinner with President Obama. And I was like, all right, I get it. But then he said, you know what, actually, I'm gonna give President Obama a rain check. And I was like, that's a hell of a friend. And I'm not quite sure if I would have made that decision, But he said to me, he said, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to meet with Valerie Jarrett and I'm going to let her know, I'll write a check or something of that nature. And so we get in this car and we're riding. We're going to meet Valerie Jarrett. But meanwhile, I'm being interviewed. So I'm sitting in the car taking an interview. And I remember this driver elbowing me. It's like, yo, look at your phone. And I'm like, yo, I'm doing an interview. He's like, yo, look at your phone. I'm like, yo, I'm doing an interview. And then I looked at my phone. It was my friend. He's like, hey, can you come in the building? Somebody wants to meet you. I'm like, cool. So I go in the building. I'm walking down the hallway. And I turn into this room. And the first thing I hear is, so I heard you got a book. And I was like, yes, Mr. President, I do have a book. But here's the thing. I'm from Detroit. It is a hustler city. I always have a book with me, except for this day. And so I'm standing there and I'm looking at President Obama, and clearly my face looks super goofy because that's how I was feeling. But I said to myself, President Obama, one day I'm gonna get you that book. Fast forward, I get this invitation, and the invitation is to be the keynote speaker at my brother's keeper. So I open up the keynote and, do my thing. And then it was like, hey, President Obama wants to meet you. And so I got a chance to get him that book. So now I've told you two things. I've told you about intentions and I told you about inspiration. And the reason, again, that I share that is because I find this place to be one of the most inspiring places for me in the world. Because these young people who are serving, these young people who are performing, these young people who show up every day are a reflection of the little boy that I was. But what these young people have that I don't have or didn't have at that time is a community and a champion in Teresa who believes in them in a way that almost seems impossible. 18 years of scrapping it together, doing everything in her power to ensure that this community is not only sustained, but that they're able to thrive. So we got intention, we got inspiration, and I want to tell you a little bit about imagination. Because imagination is what drives this kind of work. It was 1994. I was at the Michigan Reformatory. And I was laying on my bunk listening to an album that some of you may know called Illmatic. Arguably one of the greatest and most incredible arts of work of all time. I had no idea who Nas was because in prison you don't get access to information. How I stumbled upon buying this album, which came in the form of a cassette tape, you young people, y'all can Google that later, was I was reading an article and they just talked about this artist and his ability to paint these vivid pictures. And I started listening to this album and I got to this song called One Love. And it was a beautiful lyrical letter he was writing to a friend who was incarcerated. The following day, I got up and I went up to the recreation center and got what is arguably one of the worst tattoos ever. Now let me give y'all a little bit of context. Tattooing in prison has got pretty fancy now. But this was back in the day. This was like literally you take a a tape player motor, guitar string, and some ink. And some of my OGs in here, Chris, my brother right here, brothers who done time, they know what these machines look like. So I go in and I tell this guy, says, I want to get Illmatic tattooed on my arm. And while you're tattooing Illmatic, I feel like you should put a dog in there biting through a chain. So first of all, he separated the word Illmatic. So one part says ill, the other part says matic. And then the dog looks a little bit more like a bear. But it's one of my favorite tattoos of all time. Because every time I would look at that tattoo, I would imagine that I was the recipient of this letter that Nas is writing to his friend who was incarcerated. Because oftentimes when you get locked up or you get locked out of opportunities, people leave you and you feel all alone. Some years later, I ended up telling my friend this story. And he said, wow, that's unbelievable. He's like, I gotta call Nas and tell him this. And so he called Nas, and he begins to tell him the story, and he was like, matter of fact, I'm gonna let you talk to Shaka, so Shaka can tell you himself. I am a firm believer of giving people their flowers while they're here. I think that's super important. And so I tell Nas this story, and he's like, wow, that's amazing. Because you know Nas is like super cool. Some months go by, and I actually meet Nas. And now, I see a few black brothers in here. Y'all know that thing we do when we meet each other. We like, what up, what up? That was our whole exchange. What up, what up? And I was like, okay, that's cool. Fast forward, we meet again. This time under different circumstances. We actually go pick Nas up to take him to a concert. We pull up in front of the Four Seasons in this fancy bus with the music playing as loud as possible. And I remember him walking out of the hotel and freezing before laughing like, wow, this is crazy. And he says to me, nobody has picked me up like this since like 1996. And so we go to the concert, and we started to become kind of friends. And then one day, we get an opportunity to hang out. It's me, Nas, my friend Ben, who had made the introduction. And I remember we spent about 6 hours sipping on cognac, kicking the listening to hip hop. And in that moment, Nas the artist, Ben the venture capitalist, Shaka the writer, it went away. And what was left was 3 teenage boys living what is the love of our life, hip hop music. Now, if my life would have ended right there, all would have been fine in the world. But incredibly, in the middle of the pandemic, when the world was all but going crazy, I get this text. And the text is from Nas. And he says, hey, bro, can you write something for this album? And I was at home by myself. It's in my office. I was like, oh, yo, Nas just invited me to be on the album. So then I was like, all right, get it together. Shaka, you cool too. Get it together. So I text Nas back and I say, when do you need it? And he's like, I'm actually in the studio now, so if you can send it over now, it'd be great. And then I was like, oh. I said, okay, Shaka, get yourself together. And then he texted me, he was like, don't rap it though. I was like, got bars? Hot out in these streets. So I ended up doing this piece with Nas. And I remember when I sent it to him, I think my clicker made, oh, there we go. But I remember sending him the music. You know, I sent him the piece. I didn't have much context for the song, so I sent it to him. And he was like, cool, my producer got it. You know, I'll let you know. Months go by. I don't hear anything from Nas. And I was like, okay, I didn't make the cut, you know? And honestly, I wasn't even feeling bad about it. I'm like, I got the invitation. And like, that's what really mattered, right? In the meantime, I was working on my second book, which when I get done, if you all look in your bag, I think y'all may have a copy of. And I was going through the cover design. And as I'm going through the cover design, I'm going on IG, and I look up, and I see the cover of Nas's new album, King's Disease 2. And I was like, wow. Not only was it coincidentally that we both happened to have the same J's on, but now the colors of his album in my book look eerily the same. And so I text Nas and I said, man, what an incredible album cover. It looks similar to the cover of my book. And Nas texts me back and he says to me, I can't wait for you to hear our song. And I was like, wow. That album went on to be nominated for a Grammy. And we didn't win a Grammy. But I'll be able to tell my kids that story for the rest of my life. And when you all leave here, you'll get a chance to download King's Disease 2, and you'll hear my voice on a song called Composer, and you'll recognize, because you now have the book, that it looks pretty similar to the album. And so the reason I share that story is because that story is about imagination. When I was sitting in that prison cell, I imagined a life for myself that was beyond the world that I was currently in. And what I want everyone to think about this evening is the power of imagining how your sacrifices, your donations will empower this incredible group of young men and women to live and fulfill all of their dreams. So now I've told you about three things, right? I've told you about intentions. I told you about inspiration. I told you about imagination. To me, I think those are three of the most powerful ingredients in the world. And tonight, as I wrap this up, I just want to talk a little bit about where I am today, what I do, why I'm here. Today, I am the head of sales and success culture at an incredible company some of you may or may not have heard of called Trip Actions. And the reason I share that, because it's my fourth I. It's about impossible. See, here's the reality. I've told you three incredible experiences that are all impossible. It's impossible for someone to sit in a prison cell and imagine that they'll be at Oprah's home. It's impossible to sit in a prison cell and think that one day you'll meet the most powerful man in the world. It's impossible to sit in a prison cell and think that a song you're listening to and the artist who architect that song will one day invite you into their creative world to be a part of their legacy. It's impossible. Oftentimes we talk about the 1% of the world who represents the wealth of the world, right? I represent less than 1% of the 1% of the 1% in terms of possibilities. My friend Chris Wilson, who's sitting here, who's a global artist, he also represents that percentile of people who are impossible. But what I would say to you tonight is that I'm possible. And I am possible because somebody had to believe in me. Somebody had to bet on me. Somebody had to take a chance on me. Tonight, everyone in this room has an opportunity. Everyone in this room has an opportunity to bet on these beautiful, brilliant, inspiring kids to make their dreams possible. This is our company, Trip Actions. A little over 2 years ago, we were at zero revenue. Just last week, we announced a valuation of $9 billion. So what I would say, in conclusion, set your intentions, imagine what's possible, inspire somebody tonight, and let's change impossible to possible. I'm Shaka Senghor.
One more time, applause for Shaka. Thank you. Speaking for everybody here, what a gift to hear your story and your words. Like, unbelievable. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And I can't even imagine a better setup for the next part of this program. I wrote down one thing he said. I wrote down like 20 things he said. But one that really struck me was he talked about holding people hostage for their past, right? Old School's about everything but that and giving everyone the opportunity, no matter what their past, to have a future. And tonight, you're going to have an opportunity to affect these kids' lives and the next group of kids that comes in to Old School Cafe. And I just want to ask you to think about Shaka's message in this next part of the program. Now, we're very lucky. We almost had a little disaster here tonight. I can tell the dirty laundry. Teresa comes up to me about an hour ago and says, the person who's going to run the next part of the program is on a plane and may not make it, and you may get to do this part of the program. That would have been a disaster. That would have been a disaster. Fortunately, the plane landed. Okay, and this gentleman really doesn't need, if you're a Bay Area radio person, this person really doesn't need an introduction. You recognize his name. Only for like the last 21 years has he been a morning host on Alice Radio, big supporter of Old School. Please help me welcome Hooman.
Let's switch. Oh, Chuck. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. As Teresa and I were talking about the gala this year, I said, "Who's your keynote speaker?" And she said, "It's this guy named Shaka." And I said, "How long are you going to give him?" She's like, at least a half hour. And I'm like, that is a terrible idea. There's no way this guy's going to keep our attention for 30 minutes. Shaka, wherever you are, that was incredible. You could have gone for another 30 minutes. Really, truly. Well, it's an honor to be here. Thank God my plane landed. And, as Rick said earlier, when Teresa calls, you got to show up. Right? We can all attest to that. That's why we're all here tonight. So, does everyone have a paddle? If you have a paddle, wave your paddle at me. Let me see. There's a bunch of you over here that aren't. Thank you. Over here. Yes, thank you. This table here, sir, I don't see you waving. All right, I'll take that. Great. All right, everyone, thank you. Let's each do our part tonight to give the at-risk, formerly incarcerated, and foster care youth the opportunity and tools they urgently need. That's why we call this fund our Village of Hope Fund. So we want to kick things off with an opportunity for everyone to participate. Just look at the slide here. We're asking for 100% participation. Some can give more, but we're asking for you to do something. So for those of you who drink coffee, Starbucks, Pete's, this is a sacrifice of just one coffee drink per week. You can provide life skills and training to one of our youth apprentices who will give a one-time gift of $300 tonight to provide life skill training to youth apprentices. If you're going to give $300, please raise your paddle. Number 107, number 175, 106, 189, 205. What's that one in the corner there? 184, 168, 159, 169, 149, 161, 122, 162, 176, 112, 181, 185, 216. Did I miss anyone? 147, 154, 197, 152, 105. Anyone else? Thank you, everyone, for participating. 137. All right, listen, we're jumping up a little bit from 300 to the next category, so don't let it scare you. It's a small jump. It's a small jump. All right, everyone, relax. Come on. The incredible stories of hope you've heard tonight are only possible because a village came around a young person in need to overcome immense obstacles, as Shaka just attested to. They must be equipped with the right tools. These tools are specific: job skills, emotional skills, mentorship, the opportunity to work alongside chefs, bartenders, and managers at the top of their fields. We aren't putting a Band-Aid on the problem. At Old School, we're breaking generational and cycles of poverty, violence, and incarceration. And that's the truth. The work isn't easy, but it is possible when we come together. So as you can see, we're asking for quite a bit. This is our highest category. This $25,000 will help to launch our youth to new heights with intensive workforce training, soft skills training, real-world employment and leadership opportunities. With a donation of $25,000, you'll ensure that every new youth in our program is equipped with tools to support the needs of a workforce. All right, is there anyone here who would like to give $25,000? Anyone in the room? Anyone? Don't be shy. For some of you, that's chump change. Anyone? Anyone? Wow, number 247. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, well, let's keep going then. For this next category, this gift will support a brand new youth during their first critical days and weeks at the Old School Cafe. It's a donation of $25,000. It will put the youth through the first phase of their program, 12 weeks of one-on-one boot camp. The intensive training provides a comprehensive foundation to prepare them for the workforce. Is there anyone in the room that would like to give $15,000? Anyone? Anyone? All right. Oh, wait, there's two. Wow. What's that number? 255 and number 251. Anyone else? Thank you, 251. Thank you, 255. Anyone else? $15,000. All right. Thank you. That's great. All right. Our next category is $10,000. Weekly one-on-one coaching connects old school youth with vital services and opportunities for personal healing and growth. What makes us do so much more and helps build the job way and the pathway to success. With a $10,000 gift, you'll provide life-changing weekly coaching and wraparound support for one youth. Is there any, look around the room. Look at the youth who've been serving tonight. Your gift will provide one of them one-on-one coaching. Who would like to give $10,000? All right. What's that number? 168. Sir, thank you so much. And number 215. Thank you. 168 and 215. Wonderful. Oh, and 219. Right in front of me. Thank you, sir. All right, our next category. You have the power to help fill the toolbox. Overcoming immense obstacles takes smart and effective tools and mentorship. Did you know that the old school youth are required to be in school pursuing their GED? This is just one of the goals we help the young people achieve while they're in the program. In tonight's program, you'll see 20 goals in the old school toolbox that we want our youth to leave old school with in order to be successful and thrive. Our team is deeply invested in the success of our youth as they work with them side by side, from life skills to daily mentoring to teaching moments on the job. Who in the room is willing to give $5,000? Anyone in the room? All right. Number 174, number 166. He's not only the MC, he's generous. Anyone else? Anyone else? Oh, number 246. Thank you. Thank you, 246. With a smile. Anyone else? All right. The next category will help provide externship training programs that help prepare our youth to transition into employment. It's the $2,500 category. Is there anyone in the room that would like to give $2,500? $2,500. All right, we have one. Number 254. You've raised your hand a couple times, haven't you? Thank you, 254. Anyone else? Number 330. Wait, what number is that? 117. 117. Sorry, it's the lights. They're blinding me. Oh, and number 250. Thank you. All right, number 253. Sorry, I'm getting ready for the next category. Anyone else? Thank you, 253. Okay, this is a special category. If you haven't given up to this moment, this might be your opportunity. Thanks to a generous donor, this category will also be matched up to $25,000, doubling your impact. This is our $1,000 category, and it helps provide leadership training for our youth. With a gift of $1,000, which is now going to become $2,000, you will see the kids in the forefront of leadership. We believe the sky's the limit when we give the young people the opportunity and mentorship to be in leadership roles. Is there anyone in this room that wants to give 1,000? Thank you, 119. Thank you, 180. Thank you, 170. Thank you, 118. Thank you, 151. Thank you, 185. 162. Anyone else? Anybody over here? All right, thank you. Thank you to all of you who raised your paddles. Our next category is the $500. This will help provide a nightly stage for the young budding musicians and performers. And one of the things I love about the Old School Cafe is when people say, oh, what do they do for the youth? You tell them, oh, they teach them how to be waiters, they tell them teach them how to be chefs, they teach them how to be hosts. But as soon as you say they teach them how to be really great, wonderful entertainers, everybody's like, wow, I need to go see that. Well, here's your opportunity to participate in that. You get to help the nightly stage for young budding musicians and performers. There's not many venues where young people can perform who are under 21 years old. And Old School reserves their stage for the youth so that they can get their start on becoming professional musicians, where they can play on the regular basis in front of a live audience, earn a paycheck, and get exposure for outside gigs as well. Our youth musicians are 22 years or younger. Your donation of $500 provides 5 young musicians the opportunity to play at night at the Old School Cafe. Who would like to give $500? All right, number 119, number 212. Turn it around, sir. 181, all right. Number 155, thank you. 212, thank you so much. Anyone over here? 107. And 212 again. And 256. Anybody else? Oh, 109, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? 117, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Am I missing anyone? All right, we only have 2 more categories. Stick with me here. Oh, wait a minute. This is our last category. All right, we're going to play a game, everyone. Teresa, do you want to come up here and tell them what they're going to win? If they, yeah, come on. This is the way we're going to close this out. It's fun, it's short, it's sweet.
Testing. Okay. So we always say 3 ways that you can support. We want to make it easy because I have some attention issues. So dine, donate, and share. Those are 3 very specific ways. So one of the things we're going to do is the dining. So we're going to give an opportunity for 10 people to come up into our Louis Armstrong Lounge. It's going to be a whiskey tasting and appetizers, live music that you can come and you can bring your clients, 10 of your clients or your friends. And this is a pretty great value. It's going to be right here. You got just a chance to see Louis' Lounge. So that's what you are bidding on.
All right. Was that crystal clear? You get a private whiskey tasting reception for 10 upstairs in the Louis Armstrong Lounge. And the way we're going to do this is every time you bid, it's going to cost you $100. And whoever the last bidder is going to get it. All right? It's a game. So if you want to come back and if you want to support this venue, this amazing institution, and if you love whiskey, raise the paddle. Number 183, going once. Going twice. Number 122, going once. Going twice. What number? 155, going once. Going twice. Number 183, going once. Number 165. $100. It's all $100. 165 again. 164 for $100, going once. 165 for $100, going once. 183 going once for $100. I will raise it, I promise. Just 1 second. We're getting there. 183 going once. 183 going twice. 122 going once. All right, after this one, we're going to 250. 122 going twice. 183 for 250 going once. 183. 165 for... Already? 165 for 250. 164 for 250 going once. All right, we're going to 500. We're going to 500. Relax. 164 for 500 going once. You want 1,000? All right, it's at 1,000. 1,000. 183 for 1,000 going once. 165 for 2,500. 165 for 2,500 going once. 165 for 2,500 going twice. 5,000. She's bidding against herself. 165 for 5,000. 8,000 for 164. 8,000 going once. 8,000 going twice. 10,000. 165 for 10,000. 10,000 for 165 going once. Going twice. Sold to 165. Thank you all for your incredible generosity tonight. Do I pass the baton back up to you? Please welcome to the stage our leader, Teresa.
Can we give Hooman a round of applause for making it off the plane and flying right in here to help us? Thank you, Hooman. I so appreciate it. All right, I have a few, Josue and Classy, I think are going to come to the stage and help me. So our youth have been evaluating your outfits. They have been looking to and fro to decide who should be the winners of the best dressed. First of all, congratulations. I think you all look fabulous, and it's been so fun to see you all come dressed to the nines. So, would you like to announce Classy, Miss Classy, who is our female best dressed? So, Miss Classy, would you like to announce the winner that the youth chose? So, and they're a hard judge, so I'm just saying, this is a big compliment. Go ahead, and then you come up and you'll receive the award.
Our female best dress is Shamika.
Congratulations. So she has a gift certificate to come to Old School Cafe for dinner, $50. All right. And Josue, would you like to announce our male best dressed winner?
Sure, our male best dressed is Erwin Johnson.
Congratulations. And there is no favoritism. I don't think they knew that Erwin is Tiffany's boo. It's very... So we always love to honor other people in the community that are doing work that is near and dear to our heart, because I'm a big believer that it does take a village. There's no one a nonprofit, no one entity that is doing all. We all have to work together. So I'm very excited to highlight Mr. Stefan. So Stefan has this amazing nonprofit called Ripple Effect 22. He is a former professional baseball player that decided to move on from that career to pour into the lives of young people, mentorship. And so when I heard about the program he was doing, and I wanted more male role models to come and be around our youth and speak into the lives of our youth, I said, well, your curriculum, you've got a lot of things that's similar to ours, so how would we just kind of combine those, and you come and teach our life skills, and then they get to benefit from you and all the other amazing role models you bring. So Stefan, can you come to the stage? So I'm also a big believer that there's plenty of money to go around. So look him up, Ripple Effect 22. They're also a nonprofit that needs funding. And I really believe most of us give to many organizations. So I am vouching the way he pours into our young people, loves them. We love Stephen. He's part of our family and part of our collaborative, the community that we provide for young people. Stephen, 60 seconds. I love my brother, but he's kind of a pastor, so I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
60 seconds. You want to say a couple words?
60 seconds. I'm gonna do my best. First off, thank you, Teresa. Thank you, everyone from Old School. Being able to partner with Old School, to be able to work with these amazing, amazing youth, these teenagers, they're gonna run the world. I'm just so happy that I get to work with them. They're awesome. Give it up for them. My biggest, one of the things that a mentor of mine said was that if a person isn't living out their purpose, it is a detriment to the rest of the world. And so my whole goal is to help them and empower them to be able to live out their purpose so that it is a benefit to the rest of the world, and that they build a world that is great for my kids. I have a 2, a 5, and an 8-year-old, and you guys are going to be the ones who prepare the way for them. So I'm super excited for you guys. I'm so glad that you guys listen to me for some reason. And to my wife, Siobhan, she's in the picture. She's way better looking than me. Thank you for being awesome and supporting me and supporting this, because we went from being in sports to running a nonprofit. It's way different in money. So just want to say thank you. You guys are worth it, and I just appreciate every single day that I get to come here.
So we like to show our appreciation by giving you this Community Hero Award. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steven.
Okay, so the next two, I don't know if you've looked at your program, Liz. This is a surprise for you. So you all already heard from Shaka, so you already know Shaka's amazing. But I kind of got a 2-for-1, because then I got to meet his amazing fiance, who I think we get a little credit for a date spot. Before there was fiance at Old School Cafe. We are a very great date spot. A little plug, Old School Cafe. Great place for a date. So Shaka, you already know, right? So you know why we're giving him a Community Hero Award. But then as I was getting to know a little bit about Liz, I'm like, what? This is a power couple. And her heart, she was a principal in Chicago, turned a school that had so many issues like we have here in Bayview around. I love you. Got to Google her and watch the video. It's amazing. I'm like, she's my people. So I'm like, we're giving them both award, because what they are doing together to invest in lives of young people and communities and break this prison pipeline is so powerful. So Liz and Shaka, can we bring you both up? And I asked Shaka, I said, do you want to, I was going to keep it a secret, but I want to make sure they didn't leave too early. And so he's like, well, keep it a secret for Liz. So, okay. So I will let you guys say a few words, and then our young people are going to present you with you.
Okay, so y'all heard me talking earlier, so I'm really just gonna talk about Liz. Yo, this is one of the most incredible leaders, truly a beautiful human being. Like, her ability to imagine what's possible for community, something that's really super resonant with me, and one of the many reasons that I grew in love with this incredibly beautiful woman. So congratulations, you are well deserving, and I'm just honored to be standing next to you as a community hero, but more so as your fiance. Y'all can't see that ice I put on her finger, you know what I'm talking about? But if she might take the glove off at some point, y'all will get a chance to get blinded by all that action. So
this glove is a little tight, so we're going to keep it on. But I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight. I was a principal along with some of my colleagues over here on the far south side of Chicago, and I'll just briefly tell you that our young people have so much possibility within them, so much potential. And the fulfillment of that possibility and that potential rests and resides in us as the adults to create the ecosystem to cultivate who they truly are. And so I would ask you tonight, if you haven't already given, or if there's a possibility for you to give some more, that you give more to help Teresa realize her vision for all the young people that you see standing right at the back of this room to realize their possibility and potential. And I thank you for all of you who have given, because our young people are incredible. They truly are the future, and their hope and possibility lies within us. So thank you.
Hey, this is like one of my favorite. All I need is one mic.
Done and done.
Y'all like how I brought that back to Nas?
Thank you.
Can we give it up for our phenomenal award presenters? All right, so we have, we're almost at the end. I'm so impressed. We're ending on time. Wow, we even had pastors up here. This is great. So I would love to just take a moment and just mention, so our title sponsor, one of the founders, it was Dean Henry. And so he was so excited. Many of you were at the 10-year, so April 12th was our actual 10-year day that we opened anniversary. So I did a little special thing at my house with the mayor and a handful of people. We did something here at Old School. And Dean Henry was such a big champion for us. I don't know if we have that next slide. But he, and I asked him, I was like, he asked, how can I support? And I said, well, you remember my 3 things? What are they? Dine, donate, share. Awesome. So I said, well, obviously we're nonprofit. We need money. So that's the donate part. I said, but you know what? We are in, people told me we'll never make it work here in the middle of Bayview, Hunters Point. And this Mendel Street used to be known as Blood Alley. That was the nickname. So I think it's really important where we're at. And so I said, I need people to come, make it your regular spot, your favorite spot, your weekly spot, your monthly spot, where you do your meetings, where you do your corporate events, where you have your girls' night, your date night, your guys' night, whatever else night. And so he said, I will do that. So he committed to start coming weekly. And Josue, got a chance to get to know him pretty well, right, Josue? And several of our other youth. He became a regular guy. He was very intentional to get to know their names, get to know sort of what some of their dreams were, what they were doing. And then he's like, I really want to, let's sit down and have dinner. I want to know how I can support more. Like, let's talk business. I said, ooh, this sounds good. So we went out for lunch, and I said, I'm going to be bold. Will you be our title sponsor at our gala? And he was a new donor, but had just been coming weekly, loved what we were doing. So he came on as our $75,000 title sponsor and was so excited about the gala. Came to my event at my house and was like, oh, I can't wait to come. And then he suddenly passed away, literally just a few weeks ago.
And we were all devastated because he had become a part of our family here, right? And that is like he right away when I said, come, be a regular. We want to see you. We want you to like love the kids and they know you. And so I just wanted to take a moment to just say a thank you to him. Nobody was able to make it because obviously it just happened. So the family's grieving, the company is grieving. But again, it's about, we never know, life is short. And it matters. He loved our young people. He loved this mission. And while he was alive, he did it. He did what he could. So if we could just take a moment of silence for Dean. Thank you all. I appreciate that. All right. Let's give Dean a round of applause. Okay, so we're ready to bring up our MCs. Our MC is amazing. Can we give them a round of applause?
Almost the end of a great evening. We just want to say thank you for everybody who put their minds, their hearts, and hopefully their wallets in tonight a little bit. It's going to make a difference for so many kids going forward. And thank you to the sponsors who made it possible for all that money to go to programming at Old School. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And finally, turn it over to Teresa.
Thank you. And I just have to do, before we call everybody, one last, so, Rick retired, sort of, from the Warriors. But, is moving and super busy. So for him to kind of come and give this time is really very special to me. Thank you.
Anything.
Appreciate it. So remember, what this whole thing is about is our youth. So I'd love to have all of our youth come to the stage. If you could just fill out in the front and around first. Can we give them a round of applause?
Don't be shy. Come on.
These are the amazing young people that you're investing in. You got to hear them. Look at the standing ovation you guys are getting. They're the ones you got to hear from the tour. They're what this is about. And then if I could have all of my adult staff as welcome.
Get them up here.
And then all the volunteers we had, the host committee. I mean, this really does take a village. And so if we can have all of the adult staff, the volunteers, the Bon Appetit staff. So I have to give another personal shout out. So Fidel is the CEO of Bon Appetit. And so I used to do all of these galas by myself and volunteers. And it was a lot. And then a few years ago, he said he would help and just sort of make my dreams come true. So I've never wanted to do a gala again without Bon Appetit, because this tent, the service, the beauty, everything. Because, I mean, just so you know, it used to be like Ross Dress for Less, things on the table. That was the centerpieces. So let me just tell you, it was a little different. It was at Cafe Kokomo's Salsa Club. So we've upgraded thanks to Bon Appetit. So all the Bon Appetit staff, I don't see you. If you could come up here as well. All our volunteers, all our adult staff, Frida, Guru. I know Guru needs to get a picture because he's our volunteer photographer. Guru's been with us since 2008, volunteering. John, who's been behind the video camera, has also been volunteering for that many years. Can we give them a round of applause? So we're so grateful because it really is. It's not one person's dream. And Carl, why are you standing there? Carl, you're on our host committee, Carl. Thank you. One more round of applause for everybody. Thank you. So I have one of the youth saying that Chef Victor is not up here, and you are in trouble, Chef Victor. Victor, ¿dónde estás? ¿Estás en problemas? Eso. Everybody's part of the family, right, Chef? Okay, thank you. This is the team and everybody that helped make this possible, even though I don't see Bon Appetit staff, but they are around. Please thank them.
So the last thing is we want to do it here so that people would not leave. We're going to clear a few tables here, and we are going to dance for the next hour. The bar is open. There's sweets on the table. So please stay and dance for one more hour. I mean, what's one more hour? You know, right? All right. Thank you all again. We appreciate you, and let's have some fun.